And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Beautiful afternoon out there. Temperatures across the area in the mid 30s. A beautiful one for this time of the year. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And Bridgette, how did agronomy on ice go yesterday?
Oh, it was a great day. Really excited to have people out and visiting. Saw a lot of folks, and it's nice to not be rushed. You know, sometimes when you stop at a trade show booth, you feel like the next person has walked in and you should wrap up your conversation and move on. Nice thing was, it was a pretty casual atmosphere, and people just joined the discussion and stayed and learned more. So it was great. It is exhausting to run that much up and down the aisle, so to speak, on the ice and the cold weather. So I'm probably going to go to bed early tonight, but it's been a great operation to go to.
Good. Glad it was a good turnout. And the weather
Yeah,
cooperated. Weather
did.
was decent.
Today's probably even better if you're going to be outside. And for those of you who are loading trucks to haul grain, because we do know that there's quite a bit of that going on, you may even have muddy yards to be contending with right now.
Right. Yeah, we're getting some snow melt out there with temperatures well above freezing. Some areas even approaching 40 out there. And we're going to continue with the mild weather today with temperatures most areas anywhere between about 38 and 43. We're looking at about 40 here in the FM area with a west-northwest wind at about 5 to 15. Now, a cold front swings through tonight, and after midnight, those winds are going to pick up quite a bit out of the north. And they'll be gusting up to 30 and temperatures falling off into the teens. And that's where we stay tomorrow, is in the teens, and then slowly falling throughout the day with sub-zero wind chills and a pretty breezy north wind. And then as we head into the weekend, things do get a little better. Winds turn to the south on Saturday, warming us up into the mid-20s. And then Sunday, it looks like we're in the mid to upper 30s with a mix of sun and clouds. So Super Bowl Sunday looks pretty darn good as well. Monday, again, another nice one, upper 30s to near 40, and then we'll cool things down later next week into the 20s. A little light snow system coming in on Tuesday. No big storms on the horizon for the rest of this week, and it looks like into next week as well. Around or shortly after Valentine's Day, we are keeping an eye on the potential. There's going to be a big storm out in the Rockies, which is good. They need the moisture. That is going to be pushing out into the northern and central plains. How that affects our area right now, a lot of question marks on that. And again, that would be just after Valentine's Day weekend. So we've got about a week or so of pretty quiet weather. Let's enjoy it, because we know it can't last that long in the month of February. That's for sure. And we had Gary on yesterday, Bridgette, and we were talking with him about what the storm chances look like for the rest of the month. And we are going to turn a little stormier later in the month, and then that first part of March as well, before things then kind of mellow out for most of March, the beginning, and then I believe it was around the third week. Those are the two target periods in March. Otherwise, the month of March looks pretty quiet. So all in all, we're getting closer to spring, and we're starting to see little signs of it here and there.
Well, I don't think it's going to be too terribly long now. Once you start to get these, moments of nice weather, people overall start to feel like it's newfound freedom for spring. So folks are going to be pretty happy with whatever starts to roll in for us. And that's exciting. I'm glad to see it's happening. Other things that are exciting and happening, well, why don't you tell us about them? You can reach us on the JLA Insurance phone line. Nate Thorsrud, well, he's a farmer too. And that sign-up period for crop insurance is coming fast. It's March 16th. So you can reach Nate at 701-371-0311. And you can reach us at 701-293-9000. You'll see that on your screen when you're following along on our live stream. And the live stream is brought to us by Lighthouse Commodities. So for those who are tuned in via Facebook, YouTube, Acres TV, welcome. We're glad you're here and able to see what's happening. And been catching up on what's been going on in my email inbox while I was out for a little while. I'm just about back. I got 2 listener emails left to follow up on, and they both were asking questions about beginning livestock programs, etc. So I'll get those up back to you guys yet, hopefully today, if not tomorrow morning. And our inboxes are sponsored by Superior Grain Equipment. They've got superior grain handling, drying, and storage solutions. Learn more, superiourbins.com. Dean is weather at Flag Family. I'm ag at Flag Family. So much going on. Dean, I hear that yesterday you guys had such a great discussion. You didn't even get to Wednesday weather trivia.
We
Are we
didn't.
making that up
Yeah,
today, or are we going to hold them hostage till next
no,
week?
we're gonna make it up today. In fact,
Nice.
why don't we do? Let's do that next segment because we're holding off on our guest until 1:30, correct?
Actually, our guest, we can have our guest in there to help
Uh,
us in with weather trivia. He's
we'll
already at the studio
Yeah,
today.
we'll bring him in after we go to break, and then we'll have our weather trivia, and we'll be giving away again one of our Darter plastic bait up cups, and those are if you're into fishing, ice fishing, or fishing in the summertime, whatever. I mean, this is great for putting your bait in, and again, we'll be giving that away for free if you can answer our weather trivia question for today, and we'll have that coming up. Just again after we go to break here in just a few minutes in our next segment. So, yeah, it was a busy day yesterday, Bridgette, and Gary had some really good insight and things that are some changes going on with the LRC and how he was saying yesterday that this is out of all the years he's been doing this is the longest cycle length that he's ever seen. It's been pretty persistent, and he said the last cycle fluctuated. On average, it's been about 73 days, but one cycle was 75, one was 76. So each cycle length is just a touch off from the first one, but all in all, he said this is the longest cycle length he's seen. So you get stuck in, a dry pattern. It stays that way. And that's the one thing we were talking about, too, is what does this summer hold in terms of, are we worried about wildfires? And he wasn't so concerned about the Canadian areas in terms of wildfires, but in the Rockies, yes. So will we get some of that residual smoke from any wildfires in the Rockies? Not as bad as Canadian wildfires, but yeah, we'll probably see some as we head into the upcoming season with drought conditions expanding in areas of western Nebraska and all the way through the Rockies. So not good news for the Rockies. Unfortunately, they've had record low amounts of precip during this winter season, and we can hope that changes as we head into spring. But like Gary said, it just does not look promising at all, unfortunately.
Well, we appreciate the fact that Gary can join us and also help contribute to our live weather updates. And those live weather updates are brought to you every day by Progressive Ag. They are our risk management specialists in the area. Now, as we think about some of the things that have been going on besides weather, the North Dakota Stockmen's Association had quite a reminder during the last quarter of 2025 in regards to getting your brands renewed. And you needed to do that by December 31st of 2025. The change has been that even though you didn't get it done, there's a grace period allowed by law, and it goes till December 31st, 2026. So it's a 3-year cycle. You need to renew those brands every 3 years. It's only like $50. It's not hard. I know it's one of those easy things that might slip your mind, but the North Dakota Stockmen's Association, who manages branding for the state, would very much like to make sure that if you want to renew your brand, you get it done. For those who have opted not to renew, but who still have livestock wearing the brand, you do need to contact a brand inspector to have local inspections done and obtain the ownership paperwork you will need when it's time to market those animals. So find out that information by contacting North Dakota Stockmen's Association. And if you're curious about how to reach them, you can always just drop me that email again at ag@flagfamily.com, and I will be happy to give you the update on what's going on there, as well as how to contact them. Looking forward to a guest today that I connected with at the International Sugar Beet Institute and Dry Bean Expo back in Grand Forks in January. And that's Dan Brown. He's with the Alloway Company from right here in the region. They're an equipment manufacturer, but they have a great family history and story to tell, and why they are still so very active after many years in industry. They're a name that is most frequently associated with sugar beets, and there's a lot of reasons why. So I love a good ag history lesson. I think Dan's going to help us to deliver that today. Also, remember, we're still going to have our trivia to do today to make that up. I have a lot of headlines, you guys. I've been out, I mean, just for a day, but we don't always get to those as easily as we should. So we're going to want to catch up to those as well. We are going to pick up the American Ag Network's livestock report. And once we've completed that, we will be back to talk to our guest. Thanks. It's a beautiful day outside, and if you happen to be sitting in line while you're dumping grain today or loading a truck, whip out that phone. I know you're using it anyway. And you might as well take a little look at Tech Support Farm's Fence Check. How's your cybersecurity? Is it as good as it should be? Well, now's the time to find out, and that quick assessment can certainly give you some insight. And you can check it out at techsupport.farm. I'm excited to have a guest in studio today, and his name is Dean Brown. He's with Alloway Equipment. Hey, Dean, how's your day?
Hey, not too bad. Thanks for having me.
So, you and I met at the International Sugar Beet Institute and Dry Bean Expo. And as we started to visit, I realized what a long history Alloway has in the industry. And you have all sorts of things that you do in regards to the sugar beet industry and more. I mean, we're talking 80 years in business. So let's start with the background. Tell me more about Alloway.
Well, you're right. Yeah, this year is our 80th year. Alloway was founded in 1946 in Cadwell, Idaho, by a couple of blacksmiths, and over the years they've been synonymous with building rock solid. We call it legacy equipment. There's a lot of farmers that will agree in this area that they'll have a piece of Alloway equipment, whether it's a field cultivator or a defoliator or a snowblower or a grain auger, something like that, and they still have it. And if they're not using it, it's sitting there in the standby. And sometimes, they'll even go back as far as saying like their grandfather bought that and they just can't bear to get rid of it. But it's just been it's crazy how far back it goes and everything that they've been involved with.
But talk about quality. If Grandpa bought it and we're still using it on the farm, boy, that's a pretty good situation, I must say.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just to give a little bit more of the history of Alloway, it's been the Alloway name and should I say the fabrication and all the equipment has been purchased a few different times by big conglomerates, and it kind of had a rocky past for say about in the 60s and the 70s, and it made it all the way to the year 2003 when a local family here in Fargo, North Dakota, the Lapine family, they kind of wanted to bring some calmness to that company, and they recognized the legacy of it, and they really wanted to make a push into the sugar beet industry, and at the same time keeping that legacy. So since 2003, what is that now, 23 years, they have been innovating, listening to the farmers, just really wanting to know what they want. We don't invent something and then try to sell it to the farmer. We go to the farmer and say, what do you need, what do you want? And that's kind of how we've been running things since that family took over.
So I have to tap into just a little bit of history and trivia in the region. You sent me a story that ties Alloway together and the family behind Alloway to the Shields family.
Yeah, that's quite a story. Back in 1976, Joe's son Jim Lapine purchased the business from Joe and Ted, and wait, actually, I have to back up. I'm a little further ahead than I.
That's okay.
Yeah,
you go
so
all the way back in this story. This is so cool.
Yeah, this goes back to pre-World War II, and after World War II, or actually, no, during World War II, let's see here, it'd be Joe and Ted Lapine. They went out to Seattle to do some work with the United States Navy. And after the war, the brothers moved back to their family roots in Fargo, North Dakota, and they wanted to start their own sheet metal fabrication business. And that business is called Standard Industries, which is still in business today. It's actually our parent company. And it was kind of tough, though, back then. I mean, their first winter was really slow, and Joe Lapine decided to build his son, Jim, a metal stainless steel sled. And after the World War II, I mean, metal was tremendously scarce. And there was a guy that happened to notice that when they were out sledding at Island Park, that sled was just amazing. I mean, how well built it was, and it looked kind of futuristic at that time. So the guy went over and asked Joe, where did you get the metal? What can you build these? And he said, well, who are you? And he introduced himself as Fred Shields. And the rest is history. they made a bunch of sleds for them for that year, and I mean that actually carried them through some very lean times. That relationship that they had with the Shields family.
Boy, that makes a big difference, right? There were
Mm-hmm.
stories of business survival during those lean
Absolutely.
times with scarcity, but congratulations to them for having the prosperity after World War II to continue to do big things. And okay, for as far as a market region, I heard you say starting as blacksmiths in Idaho, having the connections to the Red River Valley. Alloway isn't just necessarily focused on those two sugar beet growing regions, correct? The diversity amongst your product line is likely a wider geographic footprint.
Yes, it actually is global. We have equipment in every sugar beet growing region in the entire world, from Colorado, Michigan, Ukraine, even. I mean, and you name it, wherever they grow sugar beets in the world, we have equipment in those areas. And it's not just sugar beets. One of the biggest things about Alloway has been row crop cultivators, and those are all over. I mean, whether it's in corn or soybeans or hemp or tobacco, cotton, you name it, potatoes, just everywhere. And then every farmer out there, I mean, I'm not bragging when I say that they know who Alloway is and what we stand for, but they know us. I mean, we're around, and we've been around, and that's the thing they really like.
Well, and I was just gonna say, I've known the Alloway name my entire career, and I've had a hand in the sugar beet industry, certainly just by being a part of this region. And with Alloway, I remember the conversation you and I were having at the Sugar Beet Institute. You guys are building for longevity. It's kind of like Tupperware. You buy it once and it stays for a long time. You're not planning for failure. And I really want to talk a little bit about that when we return from the bottom of the hour news. Let's talk about the design and innovation that you do. I even still have some of the cards that I got from the show that day. So we'll return to continue that conversation with Dean Brown in just a few moments. A fantastic day in discussion with our guest, Dean Brown of Alloy Equipment, which is one of those near to home North Dakota areas to talk about. So before we went to break, I mentioned that Dean has explained to me how Alloway produces products that aren't necessarily meant to be disposable, unlike my dishwasher. So, Dean, would you care to talk about that just a little bit?
Well, sure. One of the things we like to say is that we don't plan or build for planned obsolescence. That was a big thing that you've started to see in a lot of farm equipment, say about 2013 and on. Planned obsolescence was a kind of a catchphrase in the manufacturing world, and we have refused to embrace that. We like to consider our pieces of equipment legacy pieces of equipment, and by that, I mean that when you buy it, the only reason that a lot of guys will get another piece is either to expand or to maybe get some newer options. But we still service our equipment from it's going to be tough to believe, but from the 1960s.
Whoa.
We've even sold parts for some of our equipment that
It's
is
still around. That's
oh
great.
yes,
Yeah.
yep. And we have a parts manager that he's been around and as long as the Lapine family has owned Alloway, and he's our rock. So I got to give a shout out to Carl. He's everybody who does business with Alloway, they know old Carl, and
So,
it's crazy.
what would be a piece of equipment from the 60s? Because it wouldn't be a sugar beet lifter only because the size of the number of rows that we cover at a time has grown. Is this something more along the lines of tillage?
Yes, it would be field cultivators, row crop cultivators. I mean, this is pre-chemical, yeah, and it's yeah. There's a lot of equipment out there. It surprises me. Carl will come to me and he'll say, "Guess what I sold today?" And it'll be some bearing or some bracket for a piece of equipment that we haven't built since since the Lapine family's owned it.
Wow.
Yeah, but we still have those parts, and that's the nice thing about having our machine shop, which is Standard Industries. All we need is either the print or the part, and we'll fabricate it. We won't let the farmer down. Whatever the farmer needs, he's going to get.
Good deal. And indeed, we were talking about during commercial break about your relationship with local co-ops. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, one of the things that very few of our farmers know around here is that Alloway is one of the companies that you could say goes from the dirt to the bag as far as sugar goes. We're the only one that does that. We work hand in hand with American Crystal Sugar, with Mindac, with Southern Min, Western Sugar, all the cooperatives around the United States. We're their emergency repair facility. We designed components in the plant. We're huge in stainless steel. When they call, they know that Standard Industries and Alloway, they're going to be there to, make that thing happen for them, whatever it is that they need. We don't say no.
Sure, and you've got the expertise, right? I mean, y'all came from blacksmith roots. This is what you do when it comes to building things. One of the items that you showed me at the Sugar Beet Institute was the conveyor on the lifter, and you're the only guys with it.
Well, yeah, I think you're talking about the conversion elevator and our very unique way that we build that. And our conversion elevator, it was kind of born out of necessity. Once again, a grower came to us and said that he had another brand of equipment and he wants to make it better. And we kind of took some parts off of our machine and we made it work on a competitor's piece of equipment. And that has actually been something that we've been selling now for, my goodness, 20 some years. And up and down the valley, you'll see our conversion elevator on competitors' pieces of equipment, and it's actually helped us in designing our high volume harvester. I mean, we expanded on that, and we just kept going with it.
With one of the things that I picked up at the show that day was this little card that talks about cast lifter wheels. When I think about the lifter wheels in sugar beets, How often do they start to wear out? Is this like a every couple, 3 seasons? Do we have to replace them?
Well, what you're talking about is our new we call them the Diamond S lifter wheels. They're cast
Hmm.
stainless steel, and those were born again out of necessity. We have growers that are replacing lifter wheels, depending on their soil type, every 2 years. Some can go as long as 7 or 8 years. It all depends on how many acres they grow. If they're in sandy soil, if they're in heavy gumbo, you name it. I mean, all the soil types from top to bottom. I mean, it really depends on your acreage and soil type. But when we had some growers come to us and say that they're getting very expensive and that they have some complaints about the current way that lifter wheels are made, and we kind of know that. I mean, myself coming from an ag background, I remember back in the day, my dad used to say one of the worst things about brand new lifter wheels is that they're dull. Well,
Hmm.
you can't sharpen a cast edge or a cast steel lifter wheel. It gets too expensive in that whole manufacturing process. But what our engineering team found out is that stainless steel is a viable option when it comes to Standard Industries' ability to work with stainless steel. And we have a couple of foundries that helped us design this cast stainless steel lifter wheel. And the biggest thing about it is that it's sharp right out of the box. You don't have to wait for the wheel to get kind of wore in and get that ground edge that really helps pull the beets out of the ground. It's really amazing that way.
When you talk about all the things that you are doing with sugar beets and so forth, but it's not just the sugar beet industry. I heard you mentioning row crop. I heard you say something about a snowblower. Is it possible to lift the different lines of equipment that have your hands in?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, I mean, our legacy pieces of equipment, we consider that our cultivator line, our row crop cultivator line. We have a seed bedder, which is a soil finisher. We have our folding defoliator. We were the inventor of the folding defoliator for sugar beets. There's a big following with that. We also have corn stalk shredders,
Hmm.
and they also shred potato vines, and those go all over the world, in California and you name it. Um, the line expands to whatever the farm needs. If the farmer has a need for something, we'll let our engineers work with it, and we'll go with it, and we'll see if there's actually a market out there. If it's a one or two type thing, sometimes we can't do it. But
Hmm.
like I say, we have a problem, and we don't say no.
Well, so as you think about that, what's been something that most recently a farmer came to you and said, "Can you build this?" And have you done it? Or are you still scratching your head about whether or not it could work?
Our engineers right now are working on some things that I can't really say,
That's
Secret,
okay.
secret.
That's okay.
but needless to say that they're scratching their heads on a few things. One of the best things that I really like to be involved with is our cultivators. We have this technology that has kind of it was ahead of its time. We designed a steerable cultivator, and this was designed about 6, 7 years ago. But the technology wasn't available to steer it. When I say the technology, I'm talking about GPS. The
Hmm.
GPS technology is come so far, so fast that it caught up with our structure, and we're able to make it work. So now you can take a cultivator 60, 70 feet wide, and you can steer it around like telephone poles, and that's separate from the tractor. The tractor can be autonomous, and our cultivator will follow right along with it. It's it's unique in the industry, and we pioneered that. We actually did a lot of testing, prototyping with a grower in the Clifford, North Dakota area. He worked with us hand in hand for 2 years to really dial this in, and it's one of the things that I'm most proud about, that we're able to do those fine tuned technology. We're able to just dial right into whatever the grower needs.
So if I remember right, One of the other little tidbits you shared with me is that Alloway would be considered the world's longest running short line equipment manufacturer, correct?
That is correct. 80 years. Um, there is no other company in the world that can put that claim out there. I mean, short line. If people don't know what that means, it means that farm equipment without an engine. So
Hmm.
it's just attachments, pull type. But yeah, we are the longest running manufacturer in the world,
Wow,
and it's based right
So,
here in Fargo, North Dakota.
that's great.
Yeah.
so if folks have been listening and they've really enjoyed this discussion, but they want to know more about Alloway, what you can do, certainly the long line of equipment that you work in, or maybe they have an idea for an engineering need. Dean, where do they turn? How do they start that process of being in contact with you?
Oh, it's easy. You just go to allowayag.com. You can catch us on Facebook at Alloway Standard Industries, or just good old fashioned telephone. Call us at 701-356-4983, and we'll take care of whatever you need and we'll help you solve that problem.
Dean, this was so much fun. I really appreciate all the history that you were willing to share with us today because, like I said, I've known that brand name for a long time and never realized everything behind it. So I hope others learn today as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's been great. Thank you for having me.
And hopefully Carl has got an understudy where when he's ready to retire, somebody else can fix the 1960s equipment.
That's, yeah, that's kind of something that we're worried about. But
Okay.
Carl's good.
Good deal. Dean, thanks again for joining us. When we come back, we'll have a weather trivia, giving away one of our Darter plastic bait-up cups, and we'll hit a couple of ag topics as well. All of that when we come back. Hey, welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. 1:50 in the afternoon. Time for our Wednesday, albeit Thursday, weather trivia. And I'm going to have a little leeway with the answer on this. I'll give and take. I'll give it to you if you're relatively close. So here's today's weather trivia question. Again, 701-293-9000 if you've got the right answer. Approximately how much daylight, how many minutes do we gain during the month of February? Again, how much daylight do we gain during the month of February here in the Fargo area? 701-293-9000 for your chance to win a Darter plastic bait-up cup. So, Bridgette, any idea?
Well, I can tell you this much. It's a lot. Even last night, it was light out till like 5:30, which, if you think about it, only about 6 weeks ago, 5 at Christmas,
right?
It's pretty dark at 5 o'clock.
All right.
So this is wonderful.
Yeah, phone lines are lighting up. Caller on line 1, what's your name?
Doug.
Doug, what is your guess? How many minutes do we gain of daylight during the month of February?
Guessing 70.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'll give it to you. We're right around 80, so that was close enough. I was going to give 10 either side. I was going to give between 70 and 90. So, Doug, congrats. 80 minutes of daylight we gain during the month of February. So, congrats. We're going to put you on hold here, and Addison is going to get your information. You know where our station is at, right?
I do.
Fantastic. You could just swing by and get your prize in, and Addison will get all the info for you, okay?
Thanks, man.
All right, thank you. All right, 80 minutes of daylight we gain during the month of February. So, yeah, you're right, Bridgette. It's a lot. It's, it adds up quite a bit. What's that, about, a little less than 3 minutes a day?
I always felt like when I was on the road as a sales rep and agronomist that once we got into the 1st of April, after I had spent a lot of time doing grower meetings all through the month of March, you'd be driving home after a supper event, and it was 8 o'clock, and it was still kind of light out. And that was just a wonderful reminder that spring and planting were there way sooner than we were expecting.
Right.
It was definitely going to happen.
No doubt. And it'll be here before we know it. In fact, it's feeling like spring today, that's for sure. With plenty of sunshine out there, we have temperatures in the mid to upper 30s. We'll make it to about 40 today, and winds out of the west-northwest at about 10 to 15. Now, the winds will switch to the north tonight as a cold front comes through, and that's going to drop us off to the teens for lows, with those north winds increasing 15 to 30, and a breezy day tomorrow with steady to slowly falling temperatures. Tomorrow, much, much colder than today, with sub-zero wind chills throughout the day. And then the weekend gets a little better. Winds turn to the south on Saturday, warming us up into the 20s, and then we're back into the 30s as we head into Sunday and Monday before our next chance of any accumulating snow looks to come on Tuesday, and that looks to be a pretty minor event at that. So no big storms on the horizon here for through the rest of this week and most of next week. I'm a little concerned around and just after Valentine's Day weekend, but again, that's a ways away, and we'll worry about that next week. And this weather has been brought to you this afternoon by Progressive Ag Risk Management Specialists. So all in all, not a bad-looking forecast, Bridgette. Temperatures, for the most part, at or above normal over the next week or so.
Well, as we approach Super Bowl weekend, one of our farmers here in North Dakota is going to get a little bit more of the limelight than usual. There's a farmer in Cole Harbor, North Dakota. For those of you unfamiliar, that's north of Bismarck. He is a barley grower. I was contacted by Anheuser-Busch because they buy his barley and said, we'd really like to have you in our Super Bowl commercial. Now, he said it's only about a 2-second segment, so you better look close and not miss him. But they came out during harvest to record the bit for the commercial. It's actually a 60-second game spot, and it's going to be airing during the Super Bowl this coming weekend. He says it's pretty cool. He's not planning on going to Hollywood anytime soon, but did really enjoy being a part of this. The farmer, his name is actually Brian Franzen. He's a 4th-generation farmer from Cole Harbor. His family originally came from Sweden to that region. So
nice.
Excited to see him on air
cool.
this weekend.
And they only gave him a couple seconds? Come on, Anheuser-Busch.
Well, you know what? when they pay that much for a TV commercial, they can
Good
do whatever
point.
they want.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt.
they'll let you know.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mentioned some things earlier from North Dakota Stockmen's Association, and there's one more little tidbit of news from them. They have hired Isaac Cadet. He is the new West River Deputy Brand Inspector. And North Dakota, you may not realize this, but we have, in fact, 3 licensed peace officers in the state that act as law enforcement for brand inspection. All right, what do these guys do? Someone like Isaac. Well, they investigate livestock crimes. Yes, cattle rustling does still happen. Livestock and registered feedlots, supporting the local brand inspectors. They visit local auction barns, processing facilities, and are truly the liaison between law enforcement in North Dakota and the Stockmen's Association. So Isaac Cadet coming to the brand inspection business here in North Dakota, he's got a pretty great history. Previously, he has worked as the brand inspector and investigator for the South Dakota Brand Board. He has been a deputy sheriff for Harding County, South Dakota. He's been an officer in the Detroit Police Department, and he's been a federal task force officer. And in his free time, he's a military pilot for the Army National Guard. So welcome to North Dakota. For those of you who think it is like Yellowstone and the Duttons, no, that's not quite it. But yet we still do need to have some folks that are registered peace officers when it comes to livestock in the state. University of Minnesota is hosting an online virtual course for those who want to learn more as far as beginning livestock production. It is a self-paced program. You as the producer get to strengthen your foundation in areas like nutrition, reproduction, housing and facilities, health, safe handling, and it's a bi-weekly Q&A session with an instructor so you can get additional guidance if you'd like. The enrollment is now open, and the cost is about $55. I've already had one listener message me asking for the link and further information. I'm happy to share with anyone else who might want that. Again, you can reach me, ag@flagfamily.com. Happy to help out there. Tomorrow, we're going to have Market Uncovered with Greg Hansen. Dr. Emily Fox from the Ashley Veterinary Clinic is going to be joining us. And one of the things we certainly need to talk about with Market Uncovered with Greg tomorrow, we had a rally on the soybean market this week. And so let's find out what that impact might be. In the conversations I had yesterday at Agronomy on Ice, there's been a lot of corn seed sold. Will any of those acres change over back to soybeans? My crystal ball says no. I want to see what Greg's has to say as well. And for those who asked the question, when do farmers buy their corn and soybean seed? A lot of that happened last fall during combining, but changes can be made all the way up till the time that you plant seed in the ground. You might call your seed dealer and say, I know I ordered corn, but now I want soybeans, or vice versa. So there's a lot of activity between now and planting season.
And hopefully the weather cooperates with them as well, no doubt. And that'll do it today for Weather and Ag in Focus. Don't go anywhere. Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.